I think one thing that our young people struggle with, that those of us who've had a few more years, is you and I both, I'm sure, could list a number of times in our life that we see the evidence
Right.
of God's love and mercy in our life, or the evidence of miracles worked in our life. And young people haven't lived enough years yet to
Right.
have enough evidence built up
Right.
that they can go back to. I know that one of the things my spiritual director tells me is, when I have God answered a prayer, right? When we meet once a month, what's going on, whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, and this miracle happened, and this prayer was answered. And she's like, journal that, and I want you to circle it, because in those moments of darkness in your spiritual life, I want you to go back and remember how the Lord showed up, big and small.
Yep.
And so for our young people, is they don't always have enough evidence yet
Yep.
to lean into.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Well, I think on top of that too, with a lot of what I see going on these days, and you hear in the news, is this whole, what's my identity? What do I identify as? I'm going to change to this. I'm going to change to that. And then on top of all of that, it seems like, at least in the secular media, like we in the church aren't even in control of our own narrative anymore.
Yeah.
So I noticed that, we love everybody and we accept people. We want the best for them. But if you disagree in any way, shape, or form these days, then you become the enemy. It's like, no, if I love you, I don't want you going down this path because I think you're going to get hurt.
Right.
And I think there's another way. And one of the things I hear about when they talk about identity all the time is you don't hear out in the world typically that your identity is rooted as a child of God. That's number one.
Yeah.
If we get that, understand that, then it all starts to fall into place a little bit easier, I think.
Exactly. I think so too. And it's an identity crisis. I mean, we are living in a very challenging time with that. And I think the root is, right, that we don't believe, right, that we are sons and daughters of the King.
Right.
And for us to believe that, not only in my head but in my heart, and then be able to live from that foundation, right, of my identity and my worth come from the Lord.
Yep.
And there's so much that is swaying our young people.
Right.
The culture is just screaming at them of, do you really know your identity? And, and you could be this or you could be that, and I'm like, but we can't. Like, we can't really. My true identity is as a man or woman,
Yeah.
And like you said, if we in any way, we love them, but we want to bring them onto the path of peace and joy and freedom, right?
Right.
And help them avoid some pitfalls, but it comes across as, I think, judgmental.
Right. And we've been defined as judgmental if we disagree in any way, and that's not what it is. It's like, I can't get that across, enough to people that I love you enough to tell you I don't think this is good for you.
Yeah.
I was like, if I love you, then why would I direct you down this path that's going to hurt you? And I think too, when people think about a loving and merciful God and we're to have a relationship with Him, I think some people out there, they don't love themselves, so I'm not loving at all. I can't even love myself, so how am I going to connect with this guy?
Yep.
And so there's got to be something else out there.
And that's a huge core of it as well, is my own self-worth, right, and my own self-image.
Right.
And a lot of that, we know, right, comes from all kinds of psychology, right? We know that a lot of that also comes from our family of origin, and when we were younger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What do I believe about myself, or what do people tell me about myself, right? And if parents are saying you can choose your own faith and you can choose your own gender, as a young person, that's really hard to contend with and wrestle with, right?
Right.
But if I grew up in a family that taught me that I am loved unconditionally, and that there are boundaries, and that keeps us all safe, right?
Right.
And that I am a son or daughter of the King, right? That's part of how I was raised, and my identity I mean, it's kind of like if someone, told you all the time that, you're fat or you're stupid or
Yep.
you're dumb, right? You start to believe that,
Right.
even if that, I mean, that's a lie. It's a
Right.
lie. So,
Right.
we have to rewire some of these thoughts
Yep.
that have about who we are.
Yep.
And that takes being in relationship with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Because we have to be able to have those conversations and have the doors open, because we're in relationship, to say, no, that isn't the truth about who you are.
Right.
Let me tell you
Right.
about who you are, right?
Right. Right.
And for them to then start thinking differently about their self-image and their self-worth, and then that will affect everything in their life.
Yeah.